So here's my lead core setup for segmented lead core. You know, there's many ways to do this. One of them is put a full core in a reel, and you're gonna need a reel much bigger than this, and then just let out what you want at the boat. I like to run them on planer boards so I can run more than a couple per side and also have really precision depth control and get things away from the boat. So here's how we set up. We've got a deep diving little Rapala scatter tail dancer here, but you can use a lot of shallow or deep diving baits. You can use crawler harnesses, you can use spoons, just about whatever. I've got a little VMC single dual lock there. And then we've got a 30-foot mono lead that we're gonna let out. And the reason for the mono is I want a shock absorber in there. I know a lot of guys use fluorocarbon in that. I'm not saying you shouldn't use that, but this mono is gonna give me a lot of extra stretch, and that's really a key deal. And then the next thing is you're gonna notice is how I make that connection. So we've got a little number 12 VMC swivel, and the reason I need the 12 is a 10 doesn't fit through the line roller there on a lot of reels, so check that with yours. But we're gonna pull the lead core out a little bit and then actually just tie this sheath to this number 12 swivel. The reason is I can make much easier connections. I don't have to, you know, have a nightmare in the boat if I need to put a new leader on or at home, and I'm not gonna use a bunch of extra lead core that I'm gonna lose as I tie those knots again and again. And we've got just a simple reel. This is a TR200 Shimano. You don't need a line counter because the lead is telling you how much you have out, like we mark right on here. This is 3 colors. So we're gonna let that out, and that's gonna get us to our depth. So this is Suffix 832. It's gonna get about 7 feet per color, which is way more than what most lead cores are gonna give you because that sheath is so much smaller in diameter. Now the backing here is kind of where the key comes in and why I like to do what I like to do. This is my little potion. Got one more color here to get out, and you're gonna get to see that. As far as rods go, gonna use basically the same thing that I'd use for pulling planer boards or whatever. You want something with a little backbone, I like telescoping rods. So here we've got our next one, that's our second swivel, and this is the end of the lead core, and this is 50 feet of mono that's out there. And this is important because with this 50 feet of mono, I can actually let that out and know that I'm gonna get almost an extra color. So if I'm catching them really good on 4 colors, but I don't have any more, I can put this 3 out and then put this mono, and that's gonna give me that extra depth, so it's almost like having a line counter. But then what I like to do after that is I'm gonna have some braid on there. Now the other reason you want the mono on there is it's a lot easier to get a hookup point. So if you're putting these on planer boards and clips, we all know that mono is gonna go in there a lot easier. It's gonna give you a little bit of a shock absorber between the rod tip and the board. So we've got 50 feet of that, and then all I do is just do a back-to-back uni there, and we've got braid. So we've got some 30-pound P-line braid on here, and I've got a bunch of that on. Every reel is a little bit different. I kind of measure that off, and then just a little bit of mono backing underneath that, because that way that braid's not gonna slip on the spool. So that's my potion for setting a lead core reel up, segmented style, whether it's 3-4 colors or whatever it is, to allow precision depth control.